I'm pretty excited to bring you Sarah Michelle Gellar, who's in town for Specsavers. Welcome back to Australia.
Thank you.
You know, this was one of those interviews where we had people lining up to assist.
I think you're very kind.
Well, I think that you have an enormous amount of goodwill and an impeccable reputation for a celebrity.
Great, now I'm going to break it all. I'm
all.
going to throw some stuff.
She was kind of a diva before.
Oh, totally. Completely.
Tell me, one of the things that everyone often says about you, and I haven't met you before, so it was one of the things that I was really intrigued to see, is that you happen in the nicest possible way to have kept yourself normal despite being a child star, probably one of the most famous people in the world, and you continue to be. You've appeared in movies that are still cult, 10, 20 years on. You're part of a huge Hollywood dream story. What's the story?
I don't know how to be anything but myself. I mean, I think I'm incredibly fortunate. I know that it's probably 2% of the population that gets up and loves their job. And so I'm just very, very grateful that I get to do a job that I love, that people still enjoy, that I'm doing the job and are not trying to kick me out.
You're very prolific. I mean, you've really never stopped working.
Thankfully, thanks to my fans. I mean, I've been incredibly lucky, and I think I'm appreciative of it. But at the same time, I'm just, regular person doing a job, and I think it's just when you forget that it can get a little bit out of hand.
Can I ask you, I'm a working mum and a lot of our readers are as well, it seems that you have taken, the evolution of your life in stride. Did you have to have any kind of specific strategies to make sure that you were able to have that personal fulfillment in your career and still be able to do all the things you wanted as a mother, as a wife, as a daughter?
I mean, for me, being an actor is just a small part of what I do, and that's always been the most important. I always like to think of myself as a person first and an actor second.
Okay. And
having children was always something that was incredibly important to me, but there's nothing you can do to prepare for how drastic your life changes are at that moment and how much you learn to love and also just your whole life changes. I mean, I think, especially as an actor, you can lead a very selfish life, and then all of a sudden you have children, and every waking moment of your day is spent thinking about these other creatures and these people, and anyone that tells you can have it all is lying. I mean, it's impossible. It's a struggle every day. It takes a village, and I'm very fortunate that I have incredible extended family and friends that help out. But like every other working mother, there are days where you're torn, and you want to be there for the school parade, but at the same time you have a work obligation, and how to balance. And
so how do you balance? What are the things that are imperatives in your life?
I think the imperative is to make sure that wherever you are at that moment, that's where your presence is that when you're with the children, you are incredibly present. The phone goes away, the computers go away, that any of the other, extremities and distractions can go away, so that you are there, one-on-one contact. And the same for work, so that when I'm working, I'm not wah-wahing over the fact that I might be missing pickup at school that day, that this is my time that I have to dedicate to work. And I think as long as you go that way, then everybody gets the pieces of you that you need. That being said, I don't even make the list. My husband will always joke, he's like, I'm last on the list. And I'm like, well, at least you're on the list.
I think most husbands are last on the list once the kids come. What do you guys do? Did you, at any time sit down and say, okay, we both have big careers and a lot of people watching and a lot of things we are yet to achieve personally and in our careers. Did you ever sit down and say, okay, these are the kinds of parents we're going to be, this is the kind of career we're going to have, and this will be how we lead our life? Because you really are a success story in a landscape that is famously troublesome for marriages.
Well, I think if you do that, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. And I think that's the key, is to live each moment in the present and enjoy it and be there. I mean, I think anything that you plan for, be it your career, your children, or the weather, if you're planning sunshine, it's going to rain. And so I think it's about being able to go with the flow and take the knocks in stride. And I mean, there's no great, if I had a great secret, I would bottle it and retire. Unfortunately, there isn't.
We were talking about before the variety of acting and producing and drama and theatre and everything that you've done in your career. Has there been a highlight for you? Was there a particular phase in your life? Everyone wants you to say Buffy, but that you really felt absolutely fulfilled creatively, and you thought this is perfect.
I think that comes with distance and time. And I think that in the moment of Buffy, it was so much work. And I knew I was so proud of it, but it takes distance. And then when you have that separation, you can really appreciate the amazing show that it was. In the moment, you're just working and you're working and you're doing, and then you get that distance and you're like, wow, it was impactful. It was it was progressive. It was ahead of its
It
time.
was so progressive, and it's still so relevant. You know, a kick-ass female lead that went on for many seasons, and you know, all the choices you've made have had that strength of character.
But even, you know, I look at Cruel Intentions, and at the time, nobody wanted to make that movie, and I was so adamant because I loved it, and I thought, why don't they make smart dramas for young people? Why is it always silly and fluffy, and, you know, we talk down to, and I look at that with pride, and I think, you know, at the end of the day, I hope whatever it is that people choose to do in life, that they're proud of it.
Will you, if your children want to go into acting or theatre or the entertainment industry, will you and your husband have any specific advice for them, or would you just say absolutely no?
You know, look, I would love to say absolutely not. I think that it's incredibly difficult as the child of one celebrity parent, let alone two. So I think for our children, it'll have to be something they wait until they're an adult, and then they're free to make their own decisions because I've given them the tools, hopefully, that they need to succeed in whatever it is they choose to do.
So aside from being, you know, an actress with incredible gravitas, and you know, I think it's safe to say you've been a really positive role model in all the stages of your career. You're also a style icon, and people have always loved your personal sense of style. You've never been a slave to fashion, but you've always been really stylish. And I guess that people are interested in, you know, do you take any style cues? Do you have anyone that you admire or you think is an icon? And
someone asked me that earlier, and it took me a second to think about it, but I think everybody's a style icon, the person on the street to the biggest celebrity. And for me, the most important thing is that you're not a slave to fashion. That, you know, just because a trend is popular doesn't mean it looks good on you. You know what? Crop tops may be extremely fashionable right now. I've had 2 children. Nobody wants to see me in a crop top. And knowing your limitations and being true to who you are so that you come through as opposed to the clothing. I think that's the most important thing.
So tell me about your association with Specsavers. I know that you're going to meet one of our most famous designers later this evening.
Yes, I'm very excited.
One of my favorite people in the world, Alex Perry.
It's funny, when they first came to me and Specsavers said, you know, would you like to be a judge for Spectacle Wearer of the Year? Well, first I thought they said Spectacle of the Year, so I thought I was going to get to do something incredibly dramatic. Then I realized it was Wearer. And I said, well, who are the other judges? And they said, well, you know, it's an Australian designer. You may not know him. And I said, who? And they said, Alex Perry. I love Alex Perry. Yeah. I used to love him, but I mean, still, obviously. But when I had more time to watch television, Australia's Next Top Model, he was always my favorite judge.
He's hilarious.
He's great. And I just love the whole concept. I love the idea of Specsavers being a family brand. I love the idea of showing confidence in your glasses. I think that glasses have had a stigma for so long about, oh, it's nerdy, oh, it means you can't see. You know, it's one more extension of fashion. It's a doctor-prescribed accessory. Like, they don't get much better than that.
I kind of feel like that glasses have really evolved, though. Like, this is their time now.
And by the way, that goes for...
I totally want some. I've got 20/20 vision, and I tried on the pair that you picked for me, and I love them. The Alex Perry ones.
No, glasses are great. And by the way, sunglasses as well. You know, there's just other ways to show your style. And let me tell you something, as a mother of 2 children, sunglasses are my best friend. Especially the darker the tint on the lens.
So what are you looking for in terms of, in your judging role? What will you be judging?
Well, I think, first of all, I want to be the mean judge. Because that's always fun. And no one would ever see me as the mean judge.
No, I think Alex has taken that mantle. For sure.
Oh,
you'll have to arm wrestle him for that.
I think what I'm looking for is someone that shows confidence in their glasses. I think, again, that's the whole point, is it's just another side of your personality, an extension of it. So I'm looking for someone that has that confidence to say, yeah, I wear glasses, and this is me, and this is what I project, and you know what?
Speaking of confidence, is there anything that you do to work on yourself? You know, if Hollywood is famously up and down in its love or celebration of celebrities, and then they go and have a hiatus. Do you do anything to really, you know, make sure that you're shielded from the ups and downs of celebrity?
It's just not something I've ever paid a lot of attention to. I don't take my stock in it. I always say to people when they read a great review, for every great review, you also have to read 10 bad ones and believe those as well, if that's what you're going to invest your time and your self-worth in. And self-worth has to come from within. It can't come from an outside source.
So this is our Inspiration Board pop quiz. I'm going to ask you a few questions that are going to show the inner Sarah Michelle Gellar. What was the last great book you read, and why was it so great?
You know, I loved Gone Girl, and I know that's probably an answer that everyone has, but it was the first time in a while recently that I would just had to stay up at night to get to the end, and I loved the characters, and I loved that Gillian Flynn wasn't afraid to have characters that were flawed.
What's your go-to makeup product for instant confidence?
For instant confidence? Goodness, probably mascara, because I always believe that people, you can see their soul through their eyes, and anything that makes your eyes pop.
Do you have any desert island essentials? What would be the things you have to take with you?
The only thing I would have to take with me to desert island is my family. It's the only thing that I couldn't survive without.
And do you have a quote that you live by?
There is one quote that I love that I was just commenting on the other day. It's, you taught me, baby, how the few who win acquire what their hearts desire. It ain't practice, it ain't skill. They'll help, but not as much as wanting will. It's a very long quote. But it's just the idea of the most important tool that you can have is your own desire, and your own desire to do better and to achieve more.